If you're looking for encouragement, let's say you've just started your job search in Russia, I'm sure everyone's told you it's impossible. Well, here are 3 reasons why it is not that hard to find a job in Russia. Welcome to this episode of Expatriant. Today, I'm going to explain to you why it's not that difficult to find a job in Russia. Let's go. First, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So, I worked in Russia as a professional for 5 years. I got my start, like many other expats, teaching English. It's not that difficult to transition from an English teacher to a more professional job, especially if you speak Russian. I started teaching English in Russia. I taught English for maybe 6 months. After 6 months, it was really difficult. While I enjoyed being a teacher, it was very hard to keep students motivated. And that is what a lot of expats say when they're teaching English. It doesn't even just apply to Russia, in any country of the world. I was an English teacher for 6 months, and then I transitioned into a professional job. I started working at a big Russian tech company. I was in charge of marketing and community management for mobile games. While I was working at the big Russian tech company, I got a job working at an international law firm as a business development manager. But today, let's look at 3 reasons why it's easy to get a job in Russia. So the first reason is that the demand for native English speakers in Russia is extremely high. All Russians want to learn English. And even those who don't want to learn English, they know they have to learn English. All of the top jobs in Moscow require some level of English knowledge. It's kind of strange because, to be honest, for some of the jobs, you really don't need to speak English. But the employer still wants you to know. So all Russians are trying to learn English. Problem is, they don't ever speak perfect English. And if it's a Russian company or a big international company, chances are they've got a lot of foreign clients. And you don't want to be sending out documents to clients with lots of mistakes in English. If you're a top law firm, you're going to have an English editor. That's the first job that lots of Westerners can take advantage of. This also applies for German speakers, French speakers, Spanish speakers, Arabic speakers. Most of the world's major languages, Russian companies, they're probably trying to target them. Obviously, with English, you're going to have a lot more opportunities. I talked about my story. I got a job in business development. That was invaluable, being a native English speaker. Almost all of our clients were from Western Europe, the United States, London. I would go out with clients. I would take them out for lunch, out for dinner, tell them about Russia, tell them about what we did as a law firm, and that worked. So there's lots of opportunities for native English speakers. We talked about English teaching at the beginning of this video. It's an opportunity for any native English speaker. If you want to get to Russia, just show up, you can get an English teaching job. If you want to check out all of the expat jobs that we've got on jobs.expatriant.com, check out the link, it's below. The next reason why it's not difficult to get a job in Russia is that the Russian government has made it very easy to get a work permit and a work visa if you make over a certain amount of money. Russia has what's called a highly qualified specialist visa, and all it takes is having a salary over 167,000 rubles per month. The Russian government is looking to increase the minimum salary to 250,000 rubles per month. That will make it a bit more difficult to work in Russia, but it's not a huge upgrade. It's like going from $25,000 a year to $37,000 to $40,000 per year. The only requirement to being a highly qualified specialist is having a salary above 2 million rubles per year. There are 2 types of work visas in Russia: a highly qualified specialist visa and a regular work visa. If your salary is more than 2 million rubles per year, your employer should apply for a highly qualified specialist visa on your behalf. What that does is it allows you to go outside of the quota. So Russia, like many countries, has a quota system for work visas. If you fall within the quota system, your employer is going to have to prove that they can't find a Russian who can do the job. For many English teaching jobs, this is not really a problem, right? But for something like business development, it becomes harder to justify that they cannot hire a Russian to do the job. So with the highly qualified specialist visa, they can give you a job offer without having to worry about that quota. That's really a big deal. Also, if they apply for a highly qualified specialist work visa, you also get around the bureaucracy that's typically associated with a work visa. So applying for a regular work visa in Russia can take up to 6 months after you've gotten a job offer. So there are very few employers who are ready to wait around for 6 months. So a regular work visa sometimes is issued to English teachers. Another great advantage of the highly qualified specialist visa is that you also pay 13% flat tax from day one. With a regular work visa, for the first 6 months until you become a tax resident of Russia, you're going to pay 30% income tax in Russia. You can get a refund on that if you stay longer, but it's great to know that from day one, you're paying 13% as a highly qualified specialist. Again, 2 million rubles or more per year. Right now, that's about $25,000 per year. That gets you a highly qualified specialist visa. Most employers who have hired expats in Russia know all of the ins and outs. They are ready to do this for you if you're a good candidate. Another interesting tidbit that very few people know about, if you are a Russian citizen or on a regular work visa, your employer must pay, it's about 30% in what's called social taxes. So it's a pension fund, Medicare, those are always paid by the employer. If you're a highly qualified specialist in Russia though, your employer doesn't have to pay them. A lot of employers don't know this and don't think about this consciously, but it's actually 30% cheaper to hire a foreigner than a Russian citizen if they're a highly qualified specialist. The next thing I want to talk about is the low level of competition in Russia for jobs. Yes, Russia is a huge market. Yes, Moscow is a huge city. Yes, there are lots of educated Russians. But if you're coming from the United States or the UK or Germany, Australia, you do have skills that many Russians do not have. And you need to think about this. This is something that a lot of people forget. Even Russians who are educated abroad are going to have some difficulty thinking outside the box, coming up with creative solutions. This is an advantage. Use that when looking for a job in Russia. Russia is also not a top destination for expats anymore due to the ruble crisis in 2014. What that means is that many of the experts who used to work in Russia because it was a very lucrative destination for expats are no longer there. What does that mean? Lower competition for you. You can find an employer in Russia who's willing to consider you for a job. Just be on the lookout and know what your skills are. The best opportunities in Russia are for either entry-level workers or more senior-level managers. So if you're a middle-level manager, it's probably going to be hard for you to get a job in Russia if you don't speak Russian. You may have the opportunity to work at an international company in Moscow with no knowledge of Russia. If you're an entry-level worker, you're probably willing to take a little bit lower salary to be able to live in Russia. I know that's what I did. My first job at the big Russian tech company was making 100,000 rubles. Yeah, it didn't seem like a lot. It was, I think, $1,700 at the time, but it afforded me an apartment. I was able to go out and do what I wanted to do on the weekends, go out to eat. I wasn't able to save much, but it was a great first stepping stone. The next job that I got was at a Russian law firm. I was making 170,000 rubles per month, and that was more than enough to do anything that I wanted to do. So I was lucky. I was able to keep the job at the tech company, working at the international law firm at the same time, and I was able to have a salary of about 270,000 rubles per month. If you're a senior manager, the sky can be the limit, really. If you have some niche skills that are very valuable to a company in Russia, you're going to have no trouble getting a job. Let's wrap this up. I hope that you realize that it's not nearly as hard as you think to get a job in Russia. The most important thing is that you start learning Russian. If you really want to be in Russia long term, you're going to have to learn Russian. If you start in the beginning learning Russian as soon as possible, you're going to be able to use that to advance. Another thing that we think helps is that you need to be on the ground in Russia. If you're going to look for a job in Russia, unless you're a super senior manager with very niche skills, it's going to be very difficult to find a job in Russia from your home country. It's much easier just to set up a ton of meetings, informal interviews, fly to Russia, meet people, start talking, you'll find a job. Just remember that living in Russia also might not be for everyone. So we highly encourage those of you who are thinking about moving to Russia to work, if you haven't been there, take a trip. It's an amazing tourist destination. Go, check it out. If you like it, you can find a job. Especially if you go take a look, you can look and start networking. You can start looking for a job. So just remember, there's a very high demand for English speakers in Russia. Use that to your advantage. The next thing that makes job searching easy in Russia is that it is very easy to get a visa if you're qualified for a job. And lastly, there's such a low level of competition in Russia. You know more than you think you know. If you're a native English speaker, you have skills that many people in Russia do not have. We'd love to read your comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.